Okay, we're recording. Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. I'm super excited to welcome two awesome guests back to the show tonight. Awesome dudes. We've got Brandon and Mitch from Haunted US. They have returned. Guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky.
Darn right, we didn't finish the job last time, so we're
No,
here. We're here to do it.
done a great job. That was very great episode, man. I loved talking to you guys last time. So
Heck yeah,
I'm so
likewise.
happy to have you back.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be here.
I
Yeah,
lose track of when we last spoke. We said it was around April.
Yeah, I want to say it was this past spring,
Yeah,
but it was a good time. Lots of talk of, photography and ghosts. It's
yeah.
never a bad time when
That's
that's
what
the
we
topic.
love. That's what we love. We even talked a little bit of Dogman as well, if I remember rightly. We got into
Oh, that's
the
right.
cryptids. Yeah,
yes. Easterly
Yeah.
Road, I believe.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, man. Or I think you possibly may have had a brush with the beast. I know.
Possibly, maybe. Yet to be seen. Remains unexplained.
That's it. That's it. No, so this is a standalone episode. Anyone that may not have listened to that episode, do you guys want to
Yeah,
introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get into the
absolutely.
freaky stuff, man.
Yeah, so we represent Haunted US. As an entity, we travel the country and explore America's history and folklore, specifically through the lens of hauntings, because we find that to be the most interesting way to do that. We travel the country again. We do extensive research and we produce these deep dive articles every week. In fact, every Thursday, if you want to check those out. And we share those stories in the hopes of not just telling a ghost story, but teaching people about locations and about history and about um, the environment that these ghost stories are made in.
Hmm.
So it's really important to us for that. I'm Brandon Rugzie. I am the founder of Haunted US, and Mitch is here. Mitch is our head writer and genuinely incredible human being. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello. I am Mitch Goth, the head writer and researcher for Haunted US. I've been a paranormal researcher in some way, shape, or form since 2009. And the goal this entire time has been research and preservation of what's been found. It's all about recording when you go out there, noting what you experience, what happens to you, and it was just a natural transition, at least for me, into exactly what Brandon described. What we do at Haunted US now is recording ghost stories and sharing them with the world, preserving them, and hopefully as well preserving the locations themselves, helping to keep those stories and the places where they happen sort of immortal.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. These places are constantly in danger of disappearing, right? We hear all the time that places are being removed from the map. Frankly, we had one recently that really struck a chord with us, the Benton County Jail, which unfortunately was brought down. And we had been there just a few months beforehand. So sharing that story, sharing those photos, it's so important because there were stories there. People had experiences, paranormal or otherwise, in that location, and being able to tell those stories is super important.
Absolutely. What happened to the jail, man? What did they do to it?
Mitch, I think you know a bit more about the actual like legislation behind it, but there
Yeah.
was an issue with the city and they had to take it down.
Yeah, so the Benton County Jail, which is in Fowler, Indiana, um, was obviously no longer a jail and hadn't been in a very long time. Something to know about Indiana for folks who haven't visited there before,
Hmm.
or even some folks who might live there who might not know this, is for many, many years, I believe over a century, it was state law that the local sheriff or the town's main constable, if not a sheriff, would have to live in the jail with all of their inmates. And so the jails in all of these towns had houses built on the front and a big long jail block built on the back. They're almost all built roughly this same way. But of course, that's no longer the case now. And so when that change happened around the 1960s, suddenly you had a bunch of sheriffs who didn't want to live in these houses with essentially their inmates, their enemies, basically. And so there was really no use for a whole half of these buildings, and a lot of them closed down and disappeared right then and there. But places like the jail in Fowler, places like the Benton County Jail, they were preserved for some reason or another. And when we were there, it was in a state of, I like to call it arrested decay. That is an official term out there for particular historic locations that are just kind of frozen in time and they age where they sit. And that was a very good way to describe the Benton County Jail. But right across the street, of course, was the courthouse, and is the current sheriff's department, and is the current jail. And that whole structure needed to expand. And so they thought, right across the street is a building we own, the old Benton County Jail. It's not doing anything, so we're going to take it down. And that was a very controversial thing in Fowler, but ultimately it did go through, and they did take it down earlier this year. And that is an unfortunate occurrence that happens all too often to buildings that could otherwise be reused. You know, the interior shag carpeting that was all over the walls and the ceiling and the floor probably would have had to go. There was probably no saving that. But the structure of that building in particular was very, very well formed. It was thick limestone, so it could have lasted centuries longer. But they opted for a different thing, and so now probably the best images of it right before its life concluded exist on hauntedus.com.
Wow.
It had to come down to a plug, right? If you are in Indiana and you want to check out this sort of a jail, there are a couple of other examples, just because we'd love to share those too. The Old Lake County Jail in Crown Point is one of these. The Old Kosciuszko Jail in, I believe it's in, the name of the city is Kosciuszko, correct? That's not the county, right, Mitch?
That's Kosciuszko County.
Okay.
It is in Warsaw. It is in Warsaw, Indiana.
Warsaw, Indiana. Yep. Oh man, we have so many of them. It's hard to remember the exact city for everyone. But yeah, those are two other examples. Those two have been converted to museums, and in fact, one was a filming location for a Hollywood movie. So really, really cool examples. Yep.
Yeah. Do you know what film that was?
Was it Public? I think it was Public Enemy with Johnny Depp.
Yep, 2009, 2008, 2009 movie
cool,
about John Dillinger.
Which is funny because John Dillinger was actually at that jail.
Yep.
And escaped.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. See, this is the thing. These little stories, they're so important, and that's what I love about what you guys do. You know, because I love history as much. I love the paranormal. So what you guys do is perfect because you're putting them together, and it's so important to keep these, because every building, every historical building, they all come with little stories, like, you know, that are lost in time a lot of the time, and the fact that there's guys like you keeping these stories alive, I think is so important, man. So it's really cool. And sometimes that the stories, these historical stories, are just as fascinating as paranormal stories, you know.
We're all too happy to do it. It's such an adventure going to these places, and we meet genuinely the most interesting people and end up in some of the most interesting places. I know I've personally described this to people as like, I've had a number of people say, why do you do this? Because of course. And my answer is always like, this takes me to really interesting places. Like, not a lot of people have been to Vinton, Iowa, but I have like really, really been to Vinton, Iowa, and I love it.
Yeah.
So things like that. It's just such a fantastic journey.
And I guess you're learning things that like a lot of people are not going to know, like these quirky stories that like are amazing, but they're just not out there, and sometimes they get lost.
When you find yourself nostalgic and you're like, oh man, I should really buy myself a telegraph key. you know you've been deep in the history.
Stop being an outlier and buy a telegraph key like I have.
Yeah. Mitch made the leap first. I'm on the second wave of telegraph key need.
Yes, but believe it or not, I bought it as a potential ghost hunting paranormal investigation tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it is a very old means of communication, and it's something that a lot of people from bygone eras are a lot more familiar with than we are.
Hmm.
And I might be able to translate a Morse code message if I really work at it for like a day. I'm never going to be the person who hammers one out really, really fast. But back in that time period, people could do that all the
Yeah.
time. If you were versed in electronics at all, you could send a very swift telegraph message. And
Hmm.
so that's just a concept that crossed through my mind one day.
Yeah,
That
man.
it's one thing to try and communicate with them directly, but if that's not possible for any reason, don't try and hand them a cell phone. Hand them what's familiar to them. Hand
Yeah.
them a telegraph key.
Mm-hmm.
They'll know it better than you do.
Yeah, man. Have you used this? Have you used this on an investigation yet?
Not with Haunted US. I think I've only cracked it out once. Um, and I believe it was one of my many visits to an old asylum in Iowa called Edinburgh Manor. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing became of that particular experiment. But that is often the case of the paranormal researchers. If you want the experiment to work, you have to at least try it a couple times.
Hmm.
So what I'm really looking forward to, and I haven't had the opportunity yet, is to take it onto a supposedly haunted ship during an investigation,
Mm.
because that is
Yes.
that is where telegraphy really shined
Hmm.
back in the day. So
Yeah,
it would
that'd
be
be
very
interesting, man. Yeah, for sure. So when we spoke last time, you guys are quite skeptical as well at the same time, which I think is very
Yeah.
important to be. Because I think I said last time, I always jump to the paranormal, get very excited. Sometimes there is logical explanation for what we're experiencing, but you both had pretty big experiences, quite, you know, big paranormal experiences that are sort of are going to push you to the believer side.
Well, I'm gonna say unexplained experiences because I really do still hold on to that skepticism.
Mhm.
There's some maybe in there for me, but really I would say at my heart I'm a skeptic.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good way to be. It is a good way to be. But after what you guys told me last time, people need to go back and listen to that episode. I was like, guys, you've had clear paranormal experiences.
good.
Yeah, one of the stories that we told last time is actually one of the locations that is in the book that we just released as well.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into. You've got a
Yeah.
new book out, which is very
Yeah.
excited. 30 haunted nights in Win. Oh my gosh, Wisconsin.
There we go. Yeah, 30 haunted nights
Oh,
in Wisconsin.
yes.
Um, we're so excited to share the stories of our home state. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but we are both from Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Mitch lives in central southern Wisconsin, and I live on the eastern side of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. Um, and 30 Haunted Nights is this kind of perfect guide to a long, spooky road trip adventure across our state. We wanted to pay homage to our state by making that the first book. We are intending to do other states as well. So if you see these two faces in your state, know that there's probably a book coming.
Awesome, man.
And so it features 30 of the really, really haunted places in our state, and firsthand experiences from them. So we've actually talked to people at these locations. We've been to every location in the book. We have photos of those locations taken by us, and this is the culmination of over a year of research and honestly about a year and a half of driving and writing to make this happen. And it's really perfect for anybody who wants to learn about Wisconsin, who's from Wisconsin and wants to learn about the haunted places, or somebody who wants to visit and find
Hmm.
those things out.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I'm excited to read the book. And I said, whatever
Yeah.
you guys do, it's good. So I know this book's going to be good as well. So I'm
We
very
need
excited
that
to read
kind
it.
of blind optimism.
Yeah.
No, I know it's going to be good, man. I'm very excited to read it. So
We're excited to hear what you think.
did you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
write it together? Was it a joint?
Yeah, lots
Both.
of back and forth writing and editing. Mitch
Mhm.
obviously is a substantially better writer than I am, so he's got a lion's share of the work in there. But editing and binding and all those good things, we definitely shared the load.
Yep.
Oh,
They
awesome.
say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but let's be honest, I think everybody does. And the cover, the way it looks, the way each page look, even the way the page numbers look, it was all down to a labor of shared love and a natural extension of a massive passion project on both of our parts with Haunted US. As anyone who's ever seen our website or might be perusing it at this very moment likely can see, there's a lot of high quality everything in there.
Mm,
Anything we can
Mhm.
do, we do the best we can do, and that same spirit is in every page of this book.
yeah. That's what I mean. You guys, what you put out is quality stuff. So I know I'm not just saying that because you guys are in front of me, but it is. It's quality stuff. So I know this book's going to be good. I know it's going to be well thought out and well produced. So I'm very excited to read it, man. So how long have you guys
Awesome.
been working on this for?
Oh, it's got to be a year and a half at this point
Ah, so you knew
because we
last time we
started.
spoke. I don't think you mentioned it
Oh
last time.
yeah, we weren't gonna we weren't ready to mention it out in
Mhm.
public yet at that time, but we are certainly ready now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
awesome.
go buy the book.
So it's out now. It's on Amazon right now. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So it came out on the 18th of August, and it is available right now. It makes a great gift. You should buy 6 to 10 is the recommended dosage for the book. If you can buy 6 to 10 copies and just distribute them to, passersby on the street, that's totally fine.
Yes.
If you get trick or treaters Halloween, get a bunch of them
Well, that's
Hey,
it.
for
That's
that.
it. We've got
bowl
spooky
full of
season coming.
books.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Spooky season is nearly here. I was
Oh,
Absolutely.
what a
actually
joy.
having this conversation today. So as recording this right now, it's the end of August. September's coming. When do you guys think spooky season is here? When is your like, okay, it's spooky season now?
I mean, we do release a haunted location every Thursday, so it's hard to escape spooky
It's always
season.
spooky. Yeah, I know. For us, it's always spooky season. But when is it
Uh,
acceptable to watch Hocus Pocus?
I feel like late August is passable.
Yeah,
Probably September 1st. The first day that you go outside and think, "Ooh, it's cold." That day is the first day.
yeah, yeah. It's still hot right now. I don't know about in Wisconsin, but it's still hot in
We're
the
cooling
UK.
down, but it
Yeah.
was it was wicked hot here for a while.
Yeah, yeah. I got a burnt back yesterday, so
Oh no.
I'm still in summer mode.
Yeah, spooky season starts when you stop peeling.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. So since we last spoke, I guess you guys have been out investigating still.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Have you had any paranormal experiences since we last chatted?
Oh man. Now I got to think about it. Because I think when we spoke last, I had just gotten back from Nevada and I had one interesting thing happen at the Mizpah Hotel with the elevator.
Yes, yes.
Outside of that, I don't think there's been anything notable
Hmm.
since then. But I mean, even getting one really interesting thing happening to you a year is pretty
Oh
incredible. So
yeah,
I'll take
yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, for sure. How about you, Mitch? Anything happened? Any weird
Um,
experiences recently?
well, weird experiences basically all the time. Paranormal experiences, there might be one particular standout. I paid a visit to another location in Wisconsin that didn't make the book, but not for lack of spooky stories. It's an old church and convent up in the middle of the state called Jericho. And I was there visiting with some other paranormal teams who were doing their first visit there. And I had been there before, and obviously I wrote the Haunted US article on it. And the Haunted US article formed the basis of their research when they went there. So they wanted, me there, which I was flattered to be there. It was a great opportunity to connect with folks who love the website and read it all the time. And we all got to experience Jericho, and I got to experience Jericho when it wasn't 2 degrees outside, which it was the very first time when we were there. And it was. They say ghosts don't mind the cold, and anything can happen at any point in the year. I mind the cold. Brandon minds the cold. Living humans tend to mind bitter, bitter cold. So it's difficult to try and collect paranormal evidence when it's that cold outside. So it was a great opportunity to visit in late May when it was very much not cold outside. I remember it was almost a perfect evening. It was like 70 degrees. It was clear. It was, the spitting image of what we hoped mid-November would be for some reason. And nothing really stood out that evening. It was kind of a quiet night, but one thing did happen, and I can't explain it. I'm not going to say it's paranormal, but I can't explain it. The basement of the church is in the state you would imagine the basement of a church that's been abandoned since 2003 is in. It's in a very sorry state, and it smells it as well. It smells very damp, very basement in there. But strangely, in one particular very closed off, very honestly musty, windowless room, there was a strange smell of roses. And, not even perfume roses, like floral, fresh roses. And it just kind of popped up out of nowhere and then was gone with the wind, so to speak. And it never reappeared. It was instantly back to dingy, abandoned basement. But who knows where that strange smell of roses came from.
Interesting.
That's really wild. Mitch, I don't know if we actually talked about that after you got back from that investigation, having explored that basement together at a different point, which room was it in? Do you remember?
It was the little one. I don't know if they showed it. They didn't show it to us because it was too cold for them. We were there without a guide. So in the basement, you have the fellowship hall and the kitchen. Behind the kitchen, there's a small room that opens up beneath the front stairs. So you've got the big front stairs of the church. That's actually part of the basement. That's not like a firm foundation. There's a basement room under those front stairs.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm going to need to comb through my photos and see if I ended up in that room while we were there.
Yeah, it's kind of closety. It's almost wine cellar-like. But once again, it's flat, stone on all sides. You've got the stone stairs forming the ceiling. So it's just, there's no windows, there's no airflow, there's no anything in that. You could barely even call it a room. It's a tall crawl space. A
tall space, if you will.
Yes.
Interesting though, man. So what do you think was going on there? What do you think was happening?
I don't know. And honestly, the thing that makes me think about it more, because honestly, you encounter smells from lots of different places. Smells is one of the 5 senses, so it happens every day. So it's really difficult to account for a smell that comes from somewhere. And the deep reaches of my rational mind say, well, outside is just a bit of stone away. So, maybe there's a leak in the stone somewhere that in the middle of the night you can't see, but in the day, maybe daylight leaks through the stonework. And maybe there's more airflow than the thickness of the basement air makes it seem. So maybe some floral from outside carried through these little holes or something like that. But what interests me most is that the owners mentioned that floral smells throughout the church. There wasn't one particular hotspot area that they mentioned, but that was something that they had brought up, that teams had noted.
Interesting.
So it had some correlation to things that other people had experienced.
Interesting, man. Smells do seem to be connected with the paranormal sometimes. It's not happened for a long time, but I used to get the smell out of nowhere of my granddad's cologne. Like I would just, I'd just be like, not even thinking about my granddad or anything, but I'd be like, I can smell my granddad. And obviously both my granddads had passed, and they both had a very distinct smell, both of them. And every now and again I'd smell like one of them. I know that sounds quite strange, just smelling my granddad, but I'd be at work or whatever, and the smell of my granddad's cologne would come up, and I'd be like, Oh, my granddad must be here.
Oh.
And
So
that's happened.
it was in inconsistent places. It wasn't like every
Yeah.
time I'm in this room it
No,
happens.
it could be anywhere. It's not
Wow.
happened for a
Okay.
while. It used to happen every now and again. Probably after they'd just passed as well. Maybe like it was close to
Hmm.
them passing. It's not happened for a while. I can't remember the last time it happened, but it used to
Interesting.
happen. It used to happen, and not even thinking about it. I'd just be sitting there doing whatever I was doing, and like I'd get a smell, and be like, I can smell one of my granddads. And I know that sounds strange, but I don't know. I don't. Is there something to that? I don't know.
I mean, strange is kind of our business, so I
Yeah,
Yeah.
think that
yeah.
sounds perfectly normal.
It does. For me at the time when that would happen, I would think, "Oh, my granddads are around." You know, I don't know. I know that. Who knows, man?
Well,
It's
at least it's a comforting
yeah,
positive.
yeah,
It's not like, oh no, I smell the
yeah.
ghost of a garbage man or something. No shade on municipal workers.
No, you're haunted by a ghost that smells like natural gas.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah,
That wouldn't be good.
for many reasons.
That's interesting though, that other people claim to smell that similar kind of smell, and you smell it yourself. So it's interesting,
Yeah,
man. There's so many
it was.
aspects to the paranormal. Like the smells, the feelings, you know, the visuals. So interesting
Yeah,
stuff,
absolutely.
man. Yeah, interesting. So that's something. That's quite a big experience.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, man. So back to the book. I want to get back into the book. Can you guys share some stories in the book? Give people a little taster of what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a number of different places. They're separated by region. So they're kind of in these bite-sized chunks that you can use to the idea being explore multiple of them when you're having a visit. So, you know, everything in South Central Wisconsin is going to be drivable in a day.
Hmm.
So we have a ton of different places. I don't know. Why don't we, Mitch? Do you want to share what's your favorite location in the book?
Oh, it's difficult to pick a favorite location, but I certainly do have a favorite oddity. And there's an additional section to each of these areas in our book that really kind of spreads out our overall goal of being more than just a list of haunted places. We want to help you engage with the context of each area geographically, and part of that is seeing the other things that you might want to see if you're road tripping through
Mhm.
Wisconsin. And there are a lot of different things you can see when you're road tripping through Wisconsin: haunted roads, strange things off the side of the road, whole sculpture parks, massive mansions. But one thing that stood out to me in our sort of roadside oddities sections, that is truly one of a kind in the whole world, is what I took to calling the corner of the world. It kind of is, it kind of isn't. But what we call it in the book, and what you can research it as, is the 45 by 90, 45x90 geographical point. And there are four of these points all throughout the planet. And they essentially form intersections between two very central, kind of equator-like lines on the globe. I'm not a geographer, so the names escape me. Prime meridian, maybe, but importantly, it's all in the book. The book is extremely accurate, um, but there are four of these corners to planet Earth, and they basically are essentially as close to a corner as you can get on a giant sphere. And two of them are in the middle of the ocean. You can't get to them. And one is in the far, far western mountains of China. And I believe only one person has ever actually gone all the way out there. And of course, there's no marking or anything about the point because it's so remote. It's so far out there. You have to hike for days just to see it. And then there's the fourth one in a cornfield, about a 20-minute drive outside of this little town called Wausau, Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And this is the only point that is readily accessible. It's the only point that has a monument. and you can just pull right up to the side of this cornfield, and there's a little path at the edge of the cornfield. You follow it up about 100, 150 feet. It's easy to do even when it's raining. Ask us how we know.
How do you know?
Because it was raining when we were there. We pulled in just as the clouds pulled in, and we were like, gosh, we hope it doesn't rain, but we had no wood to knock on. So it immediately started raining. And so we took this little hike.
We opened the car door and it was like thunder. It was like, oh, huh.
Yeah. So us and our expensive camera gear had to trek this trek, but it all worked fine because the gods, whatever deities built this planet, made this point very accessible from the road. Yeah. And when you get there, it's this flat piece of marble or granite, the stone in the ground, and it marks exactly where the point is, this geographic corner of the world, and it's right here in Wisconsin. The only one of 4, obviously, but there's really only one that's like it.
Interesting, man. And what's there? What's on the monument? What's the marking? Is there like a statue there, or?
It's like a flat. It's almost like a compass. Just a big stone compass that kind of gives you the geographic lines exactly where they intersect, and you can kind of follow them, down one way and down another. Mm-hmm. Relatively simple, but when you're standing right there on the corner of the world, it's quite something.
That's wild, man.
And if you want a really good view of what it looks like, buy the book. It's in the book.
It's in the book as well.
A very good photo of the monument is in the book. It gives you a great perspective of what to expect if/when you make your way out to the corner.
I definitely want to go to the corner of the world. I would love to go there, man. Not many people can say they've actually stood in the corner of the world,
Yeah. Well, swing on by.
I'm coming out.
We'll bring you on an investigation if you're in the area. That's
100%, man. So it's not just ghost stories in there. There's like these quirky facts and interesting.
Yep. Obviously the 30 haunted nights are the main attraction, the 30 haunted places. But in every great circus, there are sideshows, and we found that some of the best that Wisconsin has around.
Oh man, can you give us some more? I don't want to give the whole book away, obviously.
Totally. One of the other locations that we've slated as an oddity are 2 different locations that we couldn't get to during the focus of the book. So 2 haunted places. One of them being not Jericho. The Kewaunee Jail in Kewaunee, Wisconsin. And this is very similar to the Indiana jails that we've talked about, one where the sheriff had a house on the front of the building. So there is a jailhouse and a museum. We were genuinely the first paranormal investigators to be in there, I think ever, if I'm not mistaken, Mitch.
There were some kind of unofficial investigations that happened in the mid 2010s, but the building, the museum, never really opened it up widely to paranormal investigations. And right around COVID 2020, they shut them down basically for good. So by the time we got there, it had been a good 4 years at least since anyone had even discussed it.
Yeah. And after a lot of discussion, like you were saying, with the historical society that is preserving the place, we were able to get in and have an investigation, and we were kind of kicking ourselves by the end of the book writing process that we had everything already solidified and we didn't have a chance to add in the Kewaunee Jail. But it was another of the really, really awesome places that we got to visit.
Interesting, man. So is it possible there could be another book in Wisconsin as well? I know you said you're going to do other states.
Yeah, I think that's a strong possibility. Maybe another 30 nights or
60 nights.
Yeah, there we go. 30 to 60 nights. Yeah.
So
absolutely. I think that's in our future, but I think we're probably going to bounce around to some other states first.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, man. What sort of states are you thinking? Have you got an idea of where next?
Yeah, actually, I will pull the mask off of that one right away. We are planning on doing Illinois next. We actually already have a fairly extensive trip planned there to start gathering photos and stories.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
30 nights of Illinois. Let's go. 30 Haunted
Yeah.
Nights of Illinois. Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
haunted.
specifically.
Yeah.
30 Nights of Illinois is a much more boring book.
So we've all heard in Milwaukee, the Beast of Bray Road, a very
Sure.
famous cryptid legend there. Is that in the book? Did that make the book? Oh,
Bray
Yes.
Road, yeah, it's in there as an oddity.
Mhm.
awesome. Awesome. I'd love to go there as well, man. That would be another spot I'd like to visit. Have you got any other legends like that in Wisconsin? Any other standout cryptids or, any
Oh
other
yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah, you want to talk about the Hodag, Mitch?
Yeah.
Mm,
So there are a good many possible cryptids that exist out in Wisconsin, but another main one that we touched on in this book as an oddity is the Hodag, and the Hodag is a very very unique creature. I'm not exactly sure how it was imagined up. It is pretty solidly this was a hoax. It's more of a tongue in cheek thing that this town does now more than anything. But the town is Rhinelander, uh, way up in the northern center northern Wisconsin. Um, and in the late 1800s, I believe it started with some hunters up there. It's still a huge hunting industry up there now. Hunting based tourism for deer remains very popular, but some people who went out for some deer supposedly came back with something a little more, and the something a little more was the hodag, and the hodag was said to be a like dog sized but scaly hairless creature with horns down its back and a huge face of long kind of dull teeth, just gnashing teeth. And of course the hunters described it very vividly. They drew it, but they didn't have it. And so it became a thing that if you go out hunting around Rhinelander, you might catch the hodag. And a few people over the years, you know, put costumes on a dog and were like, I caught a live hodag. I did it. And then that people investigated, and it's like, this is a pug that you painted. Um, and so over time, it's been just people kind of say, yeah, it's the fun hoax of Rhinelander. But who knows where the original story truly came from? Because if you take one look at it, and they have a huge, it's everywhere in Rhinelander. It's on their water tower. I'm pretty sure it's their high school mascot, but there's a huge
Yep.
monument of it outside their chamber of commerce, and we stopped there to get a photo of it for the book. It's in the book. So if you want to get a gander at what the hodag supposedly looks like, you can find a full color image of its best vestige there in
interesting.
Rhinelander. This
And
strange green monster.
we'll show a little preview here for anybody who's watching this on a video
Let's
format.
go.
So
Oh,
that
wow.
is our Hodag statue. Um,
Man.
yeah, he's a friendly guy. Definitely an interesting looking dude.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for the people
uh
listening, that doesn't look like a dog. That looks like a giant dragon slash, I don't know what.
yeah.
Yeah. In the real life description, it's obviously a lot smaller, but you can see just from that brief image, it's a very unique creature. It's
Yeah.
not like just a dog that's larger, or a person who happens to also be a lizard. It's this very one of a kind of
Yeah.
piece of cryptid lore, and it's a super interesting piece of Rhinelander history. Still, they have a popular store there, literally called the Hodag Store, that sells
Mhm.
anything and everything related to the Hodag.
Man. Okay. What do you might have said, but what year was that? Did that come around the Hodag?
I don't know
Roughly?
the precise year. It might be in the book. Once again, there's a lot of stuff in that book. More
There's a
than more than can
lot of
possibly be
information.
contained
Yeah.
in a human mind exists in this book. It was late 1800s, definitely, because I know by the
Interesting.
18 not by the 1890s, that's when the hoaxes started. So it had to be healthily prior to then.
Interesting. Okay. So we're not sure that was definitely a hoax. That wasn't proven as a hoax, but it could be.
Yeah, the original report didn't come with an actual creature. It just came with a report. So,
Mhm.
where did the original report of this very one of a kind monster come from?
Yeah, yeah,
They did debunk all of the pugs, though. All of the
yeah,
painted pugs.
All of the later reports of I caught an actual hodag were,
yeah.
painted pugs.
That's interesting. The Hodag. Okay, that's a new one. Interesting, man. So, could you tell us some of the freakiest ghost stories that are in the book? Is it possible to share some of those?
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna lead with one that isn't a ghost story necessarily, but it is definitely, in my opinion, the freakiest story in the entire book, and it goes back to Berlin Tannery. Berlin Tannery. At one point, this was Wisconsin's primary, or the marshland of Wisconsin's primary um, industry was fur trading. So fur and leather was really, really a big part of that area. And this large factory, the Berlin Tannery, came to be. And at one point, they were sent a skin, which is not strange for the Berlin Tannery. That's how you get leather. But this skin was from a human being, and it was very meticulously and nearly perfectly removed from its host.
Whoa.
And believe it or not, that's when they say the ghost stories at Berlin Tannery kind of started to become
Yeah,
a thing. So that
man.
I personally think that's the freakiest story. Um, but uh, yeah, it's not necessarily a 100% ghost story.
Yeah, but definitely freaky, man. Kind of mind you've got Jeffrey Dahmer's from your state, isn't he?
He
That's
He is.
is.
is he in the
Yeah.
book?
So
What a
Talking
claim to
of
fame to have.
yeah, and so is Ed Gein, the guy who actually made furniture out of human skin.
Yeah.
oh,
We got a whole host of
Wisconsin's
them.
wild.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something in the beer around here.
Oh, and obviously, is it known? I might be wrong, but the cheese is a big thing. You've got the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cheese
Well,
is obviously a big thing. The cheese heads.
Oh, absolutely.
Something's in
Yeah.
the cheese as well, man.
yes. Especially if you order the Limburger, there's something in the cheese.
That's what.
Yeah. Goes
What's the,
great with a side of like human flesh, apparently.
yeah. What's going on, man? The corner of the earth.
Hey, you get up north. It's a different world.
It
My
is.
my dad used to do a lot of work in the US, so he was always in the US, always traveling to different parts. And he actually went to, I think it's been knocked down now. You guys will know, but Jeffrey Dahmer's flat that he owned, that a lot of people he
Yep.
is it knocked
Yeah, they
down now?
did
That's
knock that
gone.
down. Yep.
Yep.
So my dad
The
did actually see that before it was knocked
Oh
down.
wow.
He didn't go inside, obviously, but he was standing outside, and whoever was with him was like showing him around, and they showed him that flat, and
Oh
he was
wow.
like, he got obviously knew what had happened there, so got the, you know, a weird
Yeah.
feeling, which I think you're
Those
gonna get.
stories are horrifying.
Man,
Absolutely
and
horrifying.
what's interesting is on the very first page, the very first story of 30 Haunted Nights in
Mm.
Wisconsin is of a pub that was said, I believe, very close to being confirmed, as much as you can confirm such a thing, that Jeffrey Dahmer frequented during his time in Milwaukee.
whoa,
Close to confirmed. The tour guides there tell the story, so it is
Yeah.
as confirmed as it can be without a paper trail.
Yep. As confirmed as I'll say it is without me, seeing him there in the years before I was born myself. But yeah, he was said to have quite frequently attended busy nights at this particular bar. And
man,
of course now it's haunted by who knows how many ghosts from who knows how many places.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, yeah, you won't want to run into that guy, that's for sure.
No,
No.
He must have had some strange energy,
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
No, I recently watched the Netflix. Not recently, it was a little while
Oh
ago. I
yeah.
watched the documentary, the film. Oh
Yeah.
man, unbelievable! I don't think I finished it actually. I think I found it quite. I couldn't really finish it. It was sort of like,
It's an
this is,
upsetting story. It is genuinely upsetting.
yeah, yeah, man. It's wild that there's people out there like that, you know. Obviously there are
Yeah.
more, but it's yeah, not cool, not cool. I didn't finish that series. That wasn't Netflix and chill. That series, no.
Netflix and curl into a ball
Yeah,
uncomfortably.
Netflix and squirm. So more of the ghost stories. Is there any ghost stories that stand out in the book? I know you don't want to give them all away, but is there any that stand out that you can share?
Sure. So I went Berlin Tannery. What do you have, Mitch?
Yeah. Um, Ghost stories that stand out in the book. Um, yeah, I've got one. So this one is interesting for a lot of different reasons. And the story takes us to, if you ever look at a map of Wisconsin, you'll see it's got a little kind of thumb on it. You know, not quite Michigan, but it's got a little off hanging peninsula out in the lake, and that is Door County. And up in Door County is a pub called the Shipwrecked Brew Pub. And the Shipwrecked Brew Pub is an institution on the shoreline around Door County. And the building, well, the current building has only been there for a couple years because the original structure, which had been there for over a century, burned down in 2017 or 2018. And they rebuilt it very quickly. It was reopened within a year. The footprint was the same. The structure was largely, at least on the outside, the same. It looks the same from the outside. And it had been supposedly haunted for many, many generations before then. And people started to wonder, you know, are the ghosts going to still be in this new building? And basically immediately, the same old reports happened in the same old spots and the same old places. Even when whole rooms changed and walls had to be taken down, you know, the spirits seemed to treat it like it was the same old building that had been there before the fire. And you know what makes the ghost stories themselves stand out to me is there are so many of them from different generations of this building's history, because Door County started as a huge logging industry. So the bar that started out on this footprint was a kind of rough and tumble loggers saloon. So you end up with kind of stories of the angry lumberjack, and then you transition pretty suddenly into the town's change into a stagecoach stop after the lumber had been taken away, and then you get spirits who are standing around waiting for their stagecoach. But then you end up in kind of interesting territory that you don't necessarily expect, and that's Al Capone territory. You never really hear of Al Capone in this little area of Wisconsin, but the local lore runs deep that Capone and his gang ran all over this town and had operations all over this essentially saloon in the 1920s and 30s. And obviously, prohibition was the law of the land in the 1920s. And so the belief is that this saloon continued to operate under Capone's thumb in secrecy during this time. And interestingly, well, maybe not so interestingly, it's said he killed a few people there. That's kind of what he did. And there are spirits in the basement that are said supposedly IRS agents who tried to track down Al Capone, because that's a good idea. We should track down El Chapo and hand him a tax bill. That's going to go awesome for us. And of course it didn't. And that's why they haunt the basement of the Shipwrecked Brew Pub now. That's supposedly where they're buried. But somehow that's not the creepiest story. The creepiest story is that supposedly Al Capone's illegitimate son haunts the attic. And of course, there's no record of this child, very illegitimate child. And people dispute whether it's a teenager or almost a toddler, and people will see both versions at different times. But the story is the same, regardless of whether he was 7 or he was 17. The story is Al Capone killed his own son because he thought he would rat on him. So, and many people see this child as a 7-year-old, like young child. So to these people, the story is that he essentially killed an elementary school child who was his own flesh and blood over, oh, this fifth grader might go to the police about me, so I'm going to silence him. And people sometimes romanticize that era of kind of the celebrity gangster, but crime is crime, and
Mm-hmm.
the stories of the shipwrecked brew pub really highlight that it got nasty, and it really got kill your own son nasty.
Wow, man, Wisconsin's wild.
It is. It's
Bruh.
almost worth a whole book.
Yeah.
I'd
But
say
no,
you could have at least 30 haunted nights in Wisconsin if you try really
Yeah.
hard.
Man. That Al Capone connection's pretty wild. Obviously, Al Capone, his main hunting ground was Chicago, is
yeah,
which is
which
obviously pretty close to you guys.
yeah, particularly on the south side of Wisconsin, that almost shares a border with Chicago by just a couple miles. But
Mm-hmm.
um, further north in Wisconsin, you don't really think that Chicago influence reaches that far up, because
Yeah.
That's, gosh, what would it be, 300-400 miles, 300 miles from Chicago at that point? But still, Al Capone got that far and supposedly left a few ghosts in his wake.
Wow,
And believe
man.
it or not, Al Capone and John Dillinger's influence are in a couple of locations in this book, more than a couple, frankly.
Yep.
So if that's something that interests you, man, have we got some
Yeah.
tales to tell.
Yep. Lots
Interesting,
of
man.
gangster ghost stories.
Yeah. I do find that interesting, for sure. Do you think like a presence like Al Capone, like, do you think that sort of carries on into the other side? Like these things, obviously they influenced a lot of what happened in that area in Chicago and all around. So do you think that that's why it plays a big part in, you know, on the other side as well?
I think Al Capone is rum running in heaven.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would make sense, right? The stories that we hear are um, uh, cogent with what we expect from a 1920s gangster, both in Dillinger and Capone's case. So I think
Hmm.
so. I mean, I think hauntings themselves are often representative of the lives led by the supposed ghost. So it would follow that that's how that works.
Hmm. Interesting, man. Would you guys ever venture to the UK? Would you
Absolutely.
ever come over? Because obviously there's a lot of laws and legends and
Oh yeah.
Yep.
places that you could come and kind of look
Yeah.
into over here as well.
I want to go and ghost hunt every castle that I can.
Yeah. We don't have nearly enough castles here, not
Yeah.
nearly enough country homes, not
Yeah.
no sprawling massive estates with, 500 years of traceable familial history.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
every
Yeah.
once in a while you might find a place like that, but they the history in the UK really runs vividly, is how I like to say it. You can trace it very far back,
Hmm.
and it's all very specific. And I think that it plays a role in how you investigate and how you research. And
Totally.
if there is any spirits in an area, it certainly impacts how you're able to interact with them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
So
on age
absolutely.
alone, the haunted stuff in America toddles in comparison to what we hear in the UK.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the oldest haunted location in America might be, at least known of at this point, is probably Castillo de San Marcos, which is maybe 650 years, which, and I mean, it's on an island by itself. It's 650 years and then maybe 200 years difference to the next possible oldest location. So
Interesting.
when you go to Europe and you have, this place was built in 1055 and is still standing today, it boggles the American mind. It does.
Yeah. There is actually a pub not far from me, 15, 20 minutes away. And a part of the pub it's not all of it, but a part of it was 12th century or
Oh
13th
wow,
century, I think. One of the walls
Yeah.
that's still standing. And that
that's
kind of
nice.
blows your mind when you think of it like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, the Viaduct Tavern, getting somewhere like there, like holy smokes. That would be
Yeah,
so cool. It used to be a
yeah,
jail, had the gallows out front. Like, wow.
yeah, man. I've got Corfe Castle. I don't know if you've heard of Corfe Castle. That's in Dorset. It's very close to me as well. That was, I think it's 1,000 years old that they can trace back, maybe longer, but it's William the Conqueror was a part of that.
All right,
Yeah,
fine. Tommy, we'll
come
look into
over,
flights.
come over. This is what I'm trying to say. I want 30 haunted nights in Dorset in the
Oh,
UK.
done. Done.
Yeah,
If you'll put
absolutely.
us up for 30 nights, we'll make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, there's a lot, as you say, probably too many manor houses in the UK.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah,
That I've forgotten the name you just mentioned. The oldest place in the US. Where was that?
that is that's Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine, Florida. And Brandon fact checked me on this one, but St. Augustine, Florida, I think is the oldest city in the United States of America.
I
Really
believe that is correct. Because I
interesting.
It
remember.
was so obviously the British colonies were really established in the 1600s and into the 1700s, but obviously when Christopher Columbus, quote unquote, discovered the New World in 1492, a rush of European interest all came over,
Mhm.
and Spanish was a major interest who wanted a piece of this new world, and a piece they got in the current United States is a peninsula known as Florida. And Florida is known for a lot of things, but one particular area on the eastern coast of the state is St. Augustine. It was a major port for the Spanish colony that was there, and a major military position for them. To keep St. Augustine was to keep Florida, was to lose St. Augustine was to lose Florida. And so they built a lot of military fortifications that stood the test of time. And this massive star-shaped fort on the shore, Castillo de San Marcos, is sitting there. It's a museum now, but it's essentially frozen in time from the very moment they built it.
And I
Wow,
just want you to know the internet has vindicated us. It is the oldest city in the US. The
interesting,
oldest
man. I didn't
continually
know that.
occupied.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. 'Cause
You've probably also heard of the St. Augustine Lighthouse, a similar area.
Mhm,
Yep.
mhm.
Not quite as old, but certainly a haunted hotspot, a very well-known haunted hotspot in St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, see, I always thought that the oldest place in the US was like New England area. That's just what I've always thought that was like where it started, and then it spread out from there. But obviously not. You know. Interesting. Okay,
Hey,
I'm
stick
learning.
with us, man. We got history for
I'm
you.
learning. I'm learning, man.
Yeah.
I've
Where
got a
there's
lot to
history,
learn.
there's lore, and we like it all.
I love it.
Hmm.
I'm really fascinated with American history because what I find so interesting is that it's obviously you're not that old, really. Like the US as it is today is not that old. Obviously,
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff going on there before that we don't
Hmm.
fully know, but in really, like I was watching 1883. I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast on
Yeah.
Yeah.
Netflix quite recently, or wherever it was on, and I found that show so fascinating because it was so interesting.
Yeah.
It seemed close to the truth, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like 200 odd years ago. It's not that long
Yeah.
ago, man, and we can kind of see how it's been built. I know history can sometimes be a bit sketchy and things can change, and whoever won the war decides
Yeah. Written
what
by the
happened.
victors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes it can be sketchy, but I find it so interesting looking at the US history. So what you guys do is perfect, man. I love it. I love it.
We like to think so too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot. I've got a lot to learn as well, obviously.
I
Um,
mean, we'll trade you. We'll give you as much US history as you want if you give us the UK stuff.
yeah, absolutely. The UK, obviously, there's a huge history here, and I don't know how far you can go back. But I do find it fascinating. It's very interesting, and it's so cool that you
Heck
guys
yeah.
are keeping like a map, and it's always going to be there. Whether they knock these buildings down or not,
Hmm.
which unfortunately they do. They do in the UK as well. It's so important that we remember that.
Yeah, and that's the goal. The most permanent archive we can currently make is what we have.
Mhm.
And it is in the form of a website, and now it's starting to be in the form of books, but we also have this backed up in different ways so that, if websites stop being the thing that we can make and we can make something else, if we can give you the augmented reality version of these locations, we will do so.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep this information alive for as long as we can.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's very important. It'd be cool if there was some way that we could visually capture these places. And I'm sure there might be a way in the future where we can, and we can, what's it called when you put the goggles on and you're walking around?
Yeah.
What's that called?
Yeah.
VR,
Virtual,
virtual
Virtual
yeah,
reality.
reality.
If we could do that and capture these places, they might knock them down, they might deteriorate and get destroyed. But if we could see them how they were and see, that would be cool.
if you want to hear the level of nerd that I am,
Let's go.
um,
Let's go.
I was looking about 2.5 years ago at getting a LiDAR scanner, so that shoots out infrared light and pulls back the amount of space between that light and whatever it bounced off of, so that we could take this LiDAR scanner and go through these places and get a 3D model of these buildings in situ so that we could share that. So, imagine our article, but it's a 3D model and you click on it and it's like, hey, here's what happens
Oh,
in this room. It would be
yes.
fantastic. The technology, every piece that I researched was like going to end up being $10,000 or $15,000 for us to get started. So listen, buy the books
Yeah,
and maybe
Yes.
it'll happen.
Yeah.
If you buy enough books, we'll make the LiDAR version of these locations happen.
oh
Yes.
man.
The more books you buy, the better preservation work we can do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you
That's a
know,
much better way to say it, Mitch.
when you get to that level of specificity, it's amazing simply because of how rare it is to get
Yeah.
almost a picture perfect visual map of a place. And
Yeah.
the only historic location I can think of that has it that's no longer extant, well, is the Titanic. Is people have
Yeah.
obsessed over that ship for so long that you can find basically very down to the millimeter specific VR areas, VR kind of environments
Hmm.
that mimic this ship. And there's so many other places than one historic place that honestly deserve that kind of treatment, that deserve that kind of you know rabid fan base, basically,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
who creates labors of love like that, because there could be a system like that for every building over 100 years old,
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
only there was enough time in the day, enough lidar systems in the world. But honestly, the I think central belief that keeps haunted us moving and being great is that we believe that all the places that we encounter, all the places that we go to, deserve the lidar treatment, deserve the
Yep.
Titanic level fan base,
Hmm.
that deserve the everything that can be preserved, every bit that we can contain and share with the world is worth its weight in platinum.
Hmm.
Yeah, and regardless of size, regardless of popularity. So, we mentioned Vinton, Iowa. We were in a couple of places there that um, you likely wouldn't see on a TV show. But ultimately, we went through, we spent the time, we got the photos, and we want to share that story to the same level as something like an Eastern state penitentiary,
Hmm.
because they are of equal importance to us.
Absolutely. And sometimes I find stories and places like that just as exciting or even more exciting than some
Yeah.
of these like famous places. So
Yeah.
and it's so cool that you guys do that. And I think you guys, you're going to keep growing and maybe, you will have this virtual world that we can walk around and see the different eras. Oh, it'd be incredible, man.
It
Yeah.
would be.
So, yeah, keep up the great work, guys. And it's coming. Let's go.
We can hope. We can hope. We're definitely working toward it. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's awesome what you do. As I say, I'm not just saying it. Everything you guys do is a higher standard, you know. and you even
We
helped.
appreciate
You
that.
helped me. You sent me. You kindly let me have like a slot on your show, a little advert that you created for me.
Oh yeah.
And that was quality, man. Like you sent it back to me and said I can use it. And I'm like, wow, and I put it out there as well. And I like, this cool. Everyone was
Oh,
saying, oh,
absolutely.
you done that really well. Like, and I was like, no, it wasn't
Oh, heck
me.
yeah.
It was Haunted US. They done that.
So
I,
happy to help.
I can't take the credit.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we really love. We love our paranormal community. We have a ton of friends just throughout different places, and anytime we can do that, like if it is spend 20 minutes to help another team, or you hear something you're like, hey, we could have you tried this, like we're so happy to jump in and be part of that too, because we view that as just being a supportive community member.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You
Oh
guys,
yeah.
you've got good energy, and I think people can see that. It's very easy to see that. So it's
Well, you haven't seen us on like day 6 of a road trip through the middle of the country, but yeah,
yeah. I can imagine
we try to bring the A game sometimes.
it can get stressful, I imagine. But yeah.
Yeah,
But awesome, man. You guys are welcome to the UK. I'd love to get you guys over
awesome.
here and show you some places. And yeah,
Be careful, man. We're gonna take you up on this.
haunted US/UK. Let's go.
Ooh. I mean, it's only one letter off Haunted UK. It's right there.
There we go. We're already there, man. We're already there. Well, guys, I'm excited to get this book. I can't wait to read it,
Yeah.
and everyone needs to go out and get it now. Where's the best place for them to get it? Do you want to? I know we said Amazon. Is there anywhere else? What's the best place?
So right now we are doing it exclusively through Amazon to start with. We are going to be working with some of the locations in the book to sell the book in those locations, because we think that that would be a really cool partnership to have. But yeah, for right now, Amazon is the place to look. If you don't want to hunt for it on there, just pop onto our website, hauntedus.com, and in the main navigation, there is a link to book, and that will be a page describing what's in the book, what you can expect, and a link off to that product listing.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I will add the links right now to the show description so people can go
Perfect.
right now. They can click the links. They can buy the book right now. And yeah, thank you so much for coming back on. And I'd
Absolutely.
love to get you back up when the next book's out or before that. You guys are welcome on here anytime. It's always a
That
fun
sounds great,
chat.
Tommy.
So thank you
Yeah.
guys so much for coming back and good luck. And I'm excited to read the book.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure to be on here. We've said it before. We'll say it again. You're an awesome interviewer, and yeah,
Thank
it's
you,
always a
man.
great time.
It's a pleasure having you guys. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you go out and get the book right now. It's going to be awesome. Click the links are in the show description now to get the book. We will be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.